Hi everybody, my name is Brian Kwong, and in this video, you're going to learn how Dotan Saguy, the creator of the Smarter Stand, blew away his funding goal of $10,000 in 24 hours, and how he raised more than $140,000 in 2 months on Kickstarter. And here is how he did it. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what your project's about?
Sure. Well, what I normally do is apps. We've talked a little bit about that, but I create apps and then I develop them in a joint venture with another firm called Post Industria, which
Okay.
is located in Ukraine, and I'm located in California, in Los Angeles, California. And so this is my first hardware project,
Yeah.
and I've always kind of secretly dreamed to be a hardware, engineer, or to design hardware and objects, kind of lifestyle objects.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this was a good opportunity. It was really a need that I had. I mean, if you've seen the Kickstarter video,
Yeah.
which kind of says it all in a couple of minutes, but yeah, I was really propping up my iPad everywhere, and it would slip, and I would end up kind of damaging. I got like a couple of nicks on the iPad because of that.
Oh yeah.
So it's already suffered a few times.
Yeah.
And one day I guess, some days you're kind of inspired, and when you kind of let your mind wander, and you kind of, think about the same problem for a long time,
Yeah.
some the solution kind of just comes to you. So,
Yeah.
so one day I was really frustrated with, just propping it up, and it would fall, and doing it again, and then I kind of took it like this, and I was looking at the folds of the cover, and I was like, what? Why couldn't I just block one of those, and it would probably hold the iPad? And so I went to the kitchen and got a clip and clipped, and then I saw that, okay, it kind of worked, but the iPad slips, so why don't I like stick a rubber pad or something to kind of let it grip the table,
Yeah.
and then the idea was born from, right there, like a 2-minute prototype that I was able to do right in my dining room. Uh,
Wow.
and then I started thinking, okay, well, do I really want to get into this, because
Yeah.
this is where I don't do hardware, and
Yeah.
this is a new trade.
Yeah.
So I started looking for someone who could help me model the clips, so that
Yeah.
they would, I was thinking about all the features I would want,
Yeah.
if I made the product the right way. And so I was thinking about, well, for one, I would want it to stay on the iPad so I can always have it there. I
Yeah.
don't want that have to clip on and clip back
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Um, and I was thinking about the fact that I wanted it to slide into position, so I don't have to, to take it again on and off to be able to put it in the various
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
Um, so all these things kind of led, told me how to design it, and so I found someone who in LA close to me that could, using Craigslist, actually using my Craigslist app,
Really nice.
using my own app to try to find someone on Craigslist who could do 3D modeling, and I found this guy who I would recommend anybody to hire for. Although don't hire him too much, because I need him for other projects as well. I've got some fun projects. I think
That's
people.
awesome.
So now I'm really working with him a lot. But his name is David Rowan Johnson,
Okay.
and he's in Venice, and so he helped me kind of brainstorm this thing and model
Yeah.
it in 3D. And
Yeah.
nowadays, which I didn't know before, but you can print 3D, plastic objects. So
Yeah.
we went and, printed it, and printed the first version, tried it, repeated the process a few times
Yeah.
until I got something I really enjoyed using.
Yeah.
And it's when you start using a prototype every day, and you can't live without it. Like, you actually, are looking for it every time.
Yeah.
When you've got something that people will enjoy using. So it took a
Wow.
few weeks to get there, but I was pretty stoked when I got the thing that actually worked. Like, you kind of feel that it's a finished product
Yeah.
that works.
So how long did it take from that day when you went in the kitchen and trying to, make your first prototype to printing the prototype, from to like designing it, modeling, and then printing it, your first real prototype? How long did it take?
days. I mean, from the kitchen prototype to finding, I mean, I think that day or the next day I found David to start prototyping this thing. He was busy, so maybe we started working a couple of days later. So the same week that I had the idea, I started already working with
Wow.
this person to prototype this, and then it took maybe 3 to 4 weeks of of repeat
Yeah.
prototyping, printing. I was also against the deadline. I really wanted to nail the product before leaving to Europe because I already had my trip to France planned
Yeah.
um, from here. So I knew it'd be easier to work with him from over there and
Yeah.
print prototypes and so on. So I was kind of like in the I really try to keep the process to the shortest time possible. Um,
Wow. That's amazing.
we even compressed the schedule so much that I ended up doing the Kickstarter video filmed with an early prototype. So I mean, video you can't really see because it's so small on the screen anyway.
Yeah.
But look really closely, and you kind of stop maybe the frame just at the right time. You
Yeah.
can see the prototype that the clips I'm using for the video aren't actually the clips that you'll see in the photos. They're a different version of them, and they have a
I
different
see.
shape and everything. So I was doing the video. I couldn't wait to get the final prototype
Yeah.
to get done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I couldn't do the video on time. So I ended up doing the video with an early prototype.
Okay,
Uh,
wow. So great. Let's jump into creating a video because video is one of the most important thing in the Kickstarter project, right? So how did you come up with the idea? Did you write the script and how did it all happen?
I mean, it was kind of the same thing as the 3D prototyping. I had never done this before, so I guess I ended up like ad for Craigslist.
Craigslist
So
again on your app. Nice.
yeah, so I went back to Craigslist and looked for video, digital producers on Craigslist. There's a ton of them,
Yeah.
especially in LA.
Yeah.
It's like every other
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
like a producer in LA.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have time. Again, I was really strapped for time. So I looked for someone who looked credible, had a nice portfolio. So I looked at portfolios and pretty quickly ended up finding these guys that had done really nice things. They hadn't done this kind of product, but they had done other commercials and things like that.
Yeah.
James James Mills was the
James
guy
Smith.
that, and it was very affordable, I guess, because in LA there's many of them and they
Yeah.
compete for price, so it was very affordable to do. I booked them. These are guys that do this between bigger projects,
Yeah.
so kind of find the right timing. That was kind of the toughest thing, was to get their availability.
Yeah.
And then, while I was waiting for that window of availability that they had, I wrote my script. They kind of told me what would make the whole process easier.
Yeah.
And they said it would be a day of filming, and then they would do about a day of editing.
Yeah.
Um, right. So I started. I had about a week, I think, before we were filming. So I went every day. I would kind of think about how I would want the sequence. I must have watched at least 100 Kickstarter videos
Yeah.
to get a sense of the good ones, the bad ones,
Yeah.
what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that people do that because you'll learn so much.
Yeah.
It's just, I think today it's the same with photography. I think video, because people can do it from their cell phones and anybody can take a video and anybody can take a photo,
Yeah.
tend to think that you just have to press the button and start filming, and it really this is like obviously the easiest part of the process is pressing the button.
Yeah.
The hard, you really have to think through what you want to show people, what people will want to see,
Yeah.
what trigger their emotions, and kind of make them understand what you're trying to convey in a very personal way.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up with it's a very simple script. It's basically what Kickstarter recommends as well on their
Yeah.
website. Really start by saying very quickly who you are, because nobody really cares. I mean,
I understand.
don't spend a whole minute describing what you've done and so on, because
Yeah.
people don't. Show your product very quickly. I'd say within seconds, like maybe 5 seconds of the start of the video, they
Yeah.
have to see the product. Because people, it's like they have a remote and then they'll switch to the next project
Yeah.
if they don't get it soon enough. So,
Totally.
and then I would say the most important thing is to describe the problem that you're trying to solve,
Yeah.
way that people can really relate to it. Like you really want people to look at it and nod and say, "Oh man, this happens to me every day."
Yeah.
Like the problem, the smart cover. This is really something that people all over the world, who have an iPad and a smart cover, which is kind of the typical setup.
Yeah.
They're every day trying to set up. Say, "Oh man, I can't get exactly the angle I want."
Yeah.
So I was trying to get them in that mode of thinking about that problem
Yeah.
and empathizing,
Yeah.
in a way, really relating to it in a very personal way, and then just getting them. Well, now it's possible. Now you can have. There's a solution to this, and here's what it looks like. And rather than talking, because that's also something people do, just like I'm doing now. I'm talking way too much, probably, but do it on the video, which is worse. And they start describing what the product does and so
Yeah.
on. Instead of that, I think the beauty of video is you can show it,
Yeah.
and that's where I think about not even halfway through the video, I just shut up and it just shows all the different situations in which the product can be used, and there's a shot at in my kitchen, cooking with the iPad at the
Yeah.
right angle, and we shot at Starbucks, we shot at my buddy's office. I had someone at a desk, someone at the conference table. We've got all kinds of situations. Even my daughter, that's actually my daughter in the video, but the iPad at the pool,
Yeah.
which is in the back of my house. And so there's like all kinds of showing where people how they can use it and in situation, I think is great.
So did you plan those sequences?
Absolutely. So I planned I wrote out basically everywhere that I wanted shot.
Yeah.
And so that the guys showed up that day that we had to film.
Yeah.
Here's what we're shooting here. We're going to do the dining room, the living room, this, that, the other, and then we're going to Starbucks. We're going to do this.
Got it.
That's right, and then if you've seen the video, you'll probably recognize that I basically chose, because it's an Apple related product, to make it very Apple style. So the black T-shirt, the white background, glossy table, the music that's kind of like a happy tune, and so try to make it stylistic.
I see.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, a lot of thought went into it.
I see that. Yeah, and so they had all the lights and everything, because it was very professionally done. They took all the lights to where you are, and then you just went to all the places that you planned it already, and then you just shot the thing for one day, and then they edited it the next day, and then
no, they took a couple to edit it because they were so busy, and it took a couple days in the end to edit it. So that kind of the letdown for me was like I shot it and then I didn't see the finished product for maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
I see.
In France, I'd already been on my trip by the time they had edited it, but it was okay because meanwhile I was fine tuning my Kickstarter page. There's a lot of content photos I wanted on there. So I wasn't just waiting for them. I was really anyway, but. Yeah, so they had all the gear. Yeah, to answer your question, they came with a ton of gear. They shot with a Canon 5D, which is right now for video, that's pretty much the best you can do for this kind of commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's even full feature film that used them for some sequences now. So, and they had a ton of lenses. They even had a 14-foot crane. So the pool was 14-foot crane.
I see that from far away.
They had this kind of skateboard looking thing that you can put the camera on, so you can do kind of I don't know what the
like
technical
thing.
Thing. So in the Starbucks shot where they were rolling on the table next to me, or next to the guy we were shooting, and so they yeah, but in terms of gear, they came with everything, and it
Do you
was
mind if
really
I ask how much that cost?
sure. I can tell you, it was $650 for the whole thing, so it
Wow,
was really affordable.
that's great.
For a whole day of shooting with two people, all their gear, and then the
Wow.
editing, it was very affordable. Again, I'm in LA, which
Yeah.
helps. Few people doing this.
Yeah.
Uh, guys, are about a year out of school.
Yeah.
But one of them went to the best film school there is, which is
Yeah.
the U.S. school, and they did a great job.
Wow. Okay, great. So I got that. So okay, you have your prototype, you have your video. So the most important thing is about, launching and no, spreading the word about your project, right? So did you do any marketing and like pre-launch stuff before your project launch? Make sure to get the word to get out.
No, so that
No.
I knew they were
Wow.
saying Kickstarter actually recommended that you do some you alert all your friends and you try to set up the social media so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get going right away. And I really was, I mean, I didn't do it. That I don't know. I felt like if the product was going to resonate with people, it would get some traction and people would talk about it
Yeah.
quickly. And I can amplify that. I can work on amplifying that.
Yeah.
I just felt like there's not that much that I could do. Like my project wouldn't have enough credibility to get enough people to say anything about it before it launched. Because
Okay.
I've never done any hardware project.
Yeah.
I'm not in Case or Belkin or any of those accessory makers.
Yeah.
I'm just myself,
Yeah.
and so I thought it just wasn't realistic. I would just spend a lot of effort, spin my wheels, and not get a lot of results. So I thought I might as well just get it, get the thing launched, see if
Yeah.
I get traction, and then use that traction for yeah. So that wasn't that was it just wasn't my focus.
Okay,
But
got it.
uh, I did do one thing which ended up being very useful is that I shared the Kickstarter lets you share the project page. Once it's approved, even
Yeah.
before it's approved,
Yeah.
you can share it with friends so that they can give you feedback. So
Yeah.
it's like a staged version of the page,
Yeah.
but it looks like the live version when it goes live.
Yeah.
So I must have shared that with about 20 or 25 people I know
Yeah.
that I respect their business sense and their feedback.
Yeah.
And, so they helped kind of fine tune and said everyone said the video was great, so I didn't really have to change anything there.
Yeah.
In terms of the page, what I said in the page and the pictures and everything, they helped me kind of fine tune things
Yeah.
and confirm that everything was ready.
Got it. Great. Wow. Because that's really, I think that's one of the very key element because if even if you have a lot of people go to your page but your content doesn't convert or doesn't work, doesn't resonate with people, people's not going to back the
Correct.
project. So that's very important. So that's a great tip that you before the project's launch, set everything up and then you send it to people that you trust and get feedback and fine tune your project page, video, everything else basically.
And so one thing I didn't know, and it's, sometimes when you don't know, it's better because you don't fear.
Yeah, yeah,
Did this work, and what I didn't know is that I could have done all this work for nothing because Kickstarter these days is much more selective, I think, about the kind of projects they accept, and they don't accept every single project.
yeah,
So after actually my project was already going, I heard from other people whose project had been rejected,
yeah,
and those were fine projects and they're good ideas. It's just Kickstarter reviewed their project and said, we've got too many of these already,
yeah,
or it's not fit for us, or so. I guess the one thing I want to tell people is it's not um, you're not 100% guaranteed to get your project approved,
okay,
and you maybe set up a backup plan. I think you can come back, if once you modify your project or something. I think
yeah,
you can reset,
yeah,
but don't count on like the timing to work out perfectly where they'll spend 3 days reviewing it and then you'll get the approval and then you can launch. It might take longer than that, or
got it,
you might might have to rework some things.
I see. Okay, great. So just to know that ahead of time.
Thing I didn't mention is part of what I did while I was waiting for the video to be edited and the page to be read and everything,
Yeah.
to an IP attorney and in California to try
Yeah.
to get a patent filed. So a provisional patent, which doesn't cost that much, although I did it with a pretty expensive firm, so it ended up costing me a couple grand. Uh,
Wow.
but but you can do it cheaper. I just wanted to make sure I was, this is not an obvious thing to patent this particular invention. So I really wanted someone who had the insight
Yeah.
to like what was important.
So all you need for this is a provisional patent. What's the?
Will copy for a year internationally, everywhere.
Okay.
So after that year, though, I mean, before that year ends, you have to decide what you're going to do next, whether you want to file for a real patent with the U.S. Patent Office,
I see.
whether you also want to file with other patent offices.
I
So,
see. So
the,
1 year international. That's what the provisional patent is going to do for you. And before that, before it expires, you need to either file for. Uh,
correct.
I
It
see.
expires after a year, so I mean, I'm not positive right now, but I think, maybe a couple months before it ends, I'm going to have to make a decision of what I want to do. It takes a little bit to get a full patent drafted.
I see.
Uh, Not as easy as a provisional.
I see.
So,
Okay, so your project went live. So what happened? What did you How did you amplify the project? Because you talked about amplifying.
I mean, I already had some contacts from my app business
Yeah.
with some bloggers and journalists had written about my apps before.
Yeah.
So I kind of had my list of people. Every time they would write about my apps, I would write back to thank them to have covered my apps and kind of establish the relationship that way.
Yeah.
So when this launched, I wrote basically systematically to all the journalists that have had covered my apps before. It's not that much, but some were fairly reputable big publications, like CNET, and I had Advice and a bunch of others that I had decent relationships with. I mean, I don't know the guys, I've never met them, but they recognize my name.
Yeah.
So I had kind of a warm introduction that way.
Yeah.
Not all of them ended up writing about the product,
Yeah.
but some did. So that gave it a little jump start.
Yeah.
What was going to say? Yeah, and once some of them write, others other bloggers will find the news and decide to write about it too if they decided it's newsworthy.
Yeah.
So it kind of got me maybe about a week of really, really strong coverage, much stronger than I anticipated, actually.
Yeah.
And I mean, and actually, the first I reached my $10,000 goal in 24 hours,
Wow.
thanks to those guys. Because one of them posted immediately,
Yeah.
told them that I was going live. That hour basically, and that was App Advice. Brian Wolf posted something, and then a few others posted something, and it kind of went, I guess viral or something. And
Wow.
also, you get the Kickstarter community. Because people on Kickstarter, there's people who are, I guess, Kickstarter junkies, and they come back every day new. And when a new like that comes up, if they like it, they'll start backing it right away.
Yeah.
And when they back, an email goes out to their friends that says, or the people who follow them, that showed that they backed it. So other people back it, and you kind of get that snowball.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. So
I noticed you also have a contest.
yeah.
Can you
So,
tell us a little about that and if that's effective?
yeah. I mean, basically, what I try to do is focus on the product, and I knew I would have a lot of work because this is the first time I do this. So finding all the contacts and the manufacturing contacts and so on, I knew that was going to be a lot of work. So I tried to limit the work on the marketing side, and I thought the easiest would be something that's kind of embedded in the campaign where Basically, if people the product comes with two clips.
Yeah.
On the iPad here.
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, a third clip could be handy both if you somehow you lose one of the two,
Yeah.
or if you want to block one more fold of the cover and create new positions, it could be fun to kind of hack, play hacker with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I basically what I did is I told people, hey, if you back out, you like it on Facebook, you'll get a third clip free.
Nice.
And so a lot of people did that. I think last count I saw maybe 1,500 likes or something like that. So that's pretty good for it's only been out for less than a month. So
Wow.
that's been working well. I've gotten a lot of questions from people about the whole like thing. So it's not been without
You
you
got a
know
lot of what?
a lot of questions. People
Questions.
because people back it and they like it and then they're like, oh, how's he gonna know it was me who liked it, and how am I gonna get my third clip? So I'm ending up answering a lot of these questions, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
I see. Okay.
Uh,
Wow. Okay. So how did it feel when you passed 10,000 in the first 24 hours?
oh, it's awesome. I mean, what actually was funny is, so I had prepared this project for a long time, and I was really, testing it with friends and so on. So very careful. And then at one point, I was like, you know what? I just got to press the button to push it live because I was kind of shy. I was like, is it ready? Should I tweak something? I
Yeah.
was really hesitant.
Yeah.
And when I was at the actually, so I'm in Paris right now, working from Paris, and I often work from cafes, which is kind of nice. You don't feel like you're working, but you are. And I was like, all right, I got to press that button. And I was at a cafe downstairs, and I pressed the button from the cafe with a nice atmosphere and everything.
Wow.
And I go back to email and doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, maybe I should tell people that I launched this. Nobody's going to find. And hear my email, the ping from my email. I'm
Yeah.
like, I wonder who is sending me an email. It was still night in the U.S., so I was like, it can't be my U.S. friends or anything. And then I see I already got like a few backers.
Wow. That's
That
amazing.
was exactly 3 or 4 minutes after having pressed the publish button. So,
Wow.
it probably didn't refresh the Kickstarter cache right away
Yeah.
either. So even with the latency of the cache and everything, and the video takes 2 minutes to watch too.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes later, it
Wow.
pressed the button. I had like,
That's amazing.
so I was, that was I think the biggest, best feeling of like this is amazing. I'm
Yeah.
able to connect with people I don't even know and show them my product, and for them to back it 4 minutes after I pressed that button, that's
Wow.
unbelievable.
I'm having goosebumps right now.
And obviously, 24 hours later, passing the $10,000 mark, and which was my project goal, was just amazing. I was like, I've got 59 days to go,
Yeah.
and I'm at my goal. So that was unbelievable as well.
Okay. Wow. So do you mind if you when the campaign is over, do you mind sharing some of your statistic, like where the backer came from on your video thing, like your statistic with us, like what worked and things like that?
Uh, I can show you. I mean, the general thing is, I mean and I've heard from other Kickstarter project owners as well. You get a big boost initially in your project. You can get off to very fast starts for all the especially if you've got some press who takes notice and everything. You have to expect, especially if your project is a 60-day project, which is the longest you can do on Kickstarter, that at some point it will flatten out because
Mm-hmm.
you kind of run out of people like Kickstarter junkies. Everybody project by the 30th day, everybody who's on Kickstarter will have seen your project and already decided whether they want to back it or not. So
Yeah.
you that plateau,
Yeah.
then you really have to do things to reactivate. Yeah, you get another natural boost at the end. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I've been told that's
Yeah.
what happens because I think a lot of people mark their calendars, or they don't want to back it right away, but they kind of want to wait till the end.
Yeah.
That. But if you want to boost it in the meantime, you really have to go and either contact journalists or do some social media stuff, and so it's really up to you in the middle, what you can do.
Okay. All right. So just the last few question. So what's your biggest takeaway of launching a project on Kickstarter?
Oh God, I don't know. Lots of takeaways.
Yeah, just few maybe. Yeah.
One is I definitely want to do this again.
Okay.
I've I've got a couple other projects in the works actually that I'm currently doing the 3D modeling for.
Okay.
They're also iPad related,
Awesome.
and also products that I want to use myself but can't find anywhere, so they're
Yeah.
big out of my own need. So anyway, so I found out one of the things I found is I really like doing this and I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Uh, Second thing, I don't know. Takeaway wise, the video. I'm really glad. I, I spent a lot of time and energy doing that because
Yeah.
that was by far the most important thing
Yeah.
for sure. And I think if, the third thing I'd say, don't. I'm glad that I didn't sweat it too much ahead of time in terms of preparing the PR
Mm-hmm.
campaign or social media ahead of time. I
Yeah.
think you kind of have to let it happen and then use the energy that you got initially to harness that energy to try to um, get the project boosted even more.
Yeah.
But I think unless you already have done projects before and you've got the credibility, there's
Yeah.
no preparing because you're not going to get people aren't going to listen. There's too many Kickstarter projects out there that aren't successful, and so people will only listen once it's already successful.
I see.
And once
Wow.
it's successful, the other thing is you get a lot of things kind of unfold for you in terms of you'll have manufacturers that want to work with you and will start reaching out. You'll have distributors that will reach out because they want to carry your product after Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Things kind of unfold from there, but you have to have some genuine um, excitement. You can't create the excitement around your
Okay.
product. You can amplify it. If it's already there, you can amplify the
Yeah.
excitement.
That's very interesting. So I hear what I'm hearing is that instead of focus your energy on creating a really good product
Right,
and and launch it and take action and actually launch the project.
right, right.
That those are what I hear that those are important. Use all your energy to do those.
Exactly. All your energy in the product and in conveying to people why they need it.
Exactly.
And then once they prove that they need it, once you start getting that early adopter, jumping on board, then you can use that and start contacting the press. You can start contacting. You'll get contacted also. It all kind of comes from there. But
Yeah, I get that. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's awesome. So can you tell? So where can we find your product and also your apps?
so it might still be available on Kickstarter until August 13th.
Okay.
Project is called Smarter Stand for iPad,
Yeah.
and if you've missed the Kickstarter phase, you can find it on Kickstarter.com. I mean, on the sorry, you can find it on
Yeah. You
Kickstarter.com.
can find it on Kickstarter.com.
You cut that, you can go to smarterstand.com.
Smarterstand.com.
Will either be sold there or the site will tell you where to find it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it'll be carried by stores. We're already in talks with different stores to carry it.
Okay. And how about your Craigslist company that helped you find all the the prototyping and also the video?
So if you search for Craigslist on in the App Store, my app is the one that comes up first, and it's one of the most popular Craigslist apps in the App Store. The icon looks like a newspaper. It's made by Lifelike Apps, which is my company, and I've got several other apps to check out as well under that label.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you so much for your time and learned a lot. I'm sure people watching this also learned a lot too. And wish you all the best and let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Same here.
Okay, thank you.